A glove found in a field looked like one from the Nancy Guthrie case. But the results were a dead end, no DNA match in the CODA system, the FBI's file on 57 million people. It was a huge setback. But the investigation wasn't over. There were other paths. The DNA could be analyzed using a different method. Not a PCR test, but something far more personal. Genetic genealogy. Nancy Guthrie's kidnapper was careful. His face hidden, gloves on, camera cut. He made almost no mistakes. His one mistake: shopping at Walmart, a place with cameras and purchase records. Walmart's own security teams are now partnered directly with the FBI, and every single transaction, no matter how it's paid, leaves a digital trail. Tonight, we follow that trail from the doorbell video they almost lost to the backpack, mask, and gloves. We'll track the clothing, piece by piece, through retail databases and surveillance footage. We'll see the techniques used to crack cases exactly like this one. Because while the world was watching for ransom notes and DNA results, investigators were building a secret case. A purchase history, a paper trail, and maybe a face. On February 10th, the FBI released 4 images and 2 clips pulled from Nancy Guthrie's Nest camera. The suspect had tried to smash the device. He failed. The surviving images sparked an investigation involving over 400 law enforcement officers. The video showed a male on the porch, roughly 5'9" to 5'10" average build, wearing a ski mask. He had on a dark jacket, pants, gloves, a backpack, and a holstered handgun at his waist. In one clip, he moves toward the camera with a gloved hand up, then retreats. In another, he faces the lens with a flashlight in his mouth, and then shoves plants over it. Most people focused on the obvious: the weapon, the mask, the suspect's behavior. Those elements are chilling. But the FBI was looking at something else entirely. They were examining his clothes, not as a fashion statement, but as a map. Every single item he wore is a product, from a manufacturer, sold through a retailer with records. Their first major lead was the backpack, a black, 25-liter Ozark Trail model. That detail cracked the case wide open. Ozark Trail is a brand made exclusively for Walmart. You won't find it at Target. It's not sold on Amazon. It's not in sporting goods stores or anywhere else. If you have an Ozark Trail product, it came from Walmart. End of story. There is no other supplier. That exclusivity is devastating for the kidnapper. Every pack ever sold is time-stamped in Walmart's database. Every sale is tied to a location, and depending on payment, it can be traced back to a specific person. Walmart has already given those complete records to federal investigators. The data includes every Ozark Trail pack sold recently, not just in Tucson, but across the entire region. Every in-store sale, every online order. Agents are now combing through it all, checking sales in the last 30 days, or the last 60, looking for any purchase made with a traceable credit or debit card. They're flagging any sale that included other items from his outfit, hoping to find the transaction on camera. Because Walmart's surveillance system is everywhere. It covers the entrances, the exits, every single register, the aisles, and the parking lot. If he bought that backpack in person, his unmasked face is very likely on tape. And it wasn't just the pack. Investigators believe he bought all his gear there: the jacket, pants, gloves, and even the ski mask. The theory is the suspect made one stop to get everything he needed for the crime. One store, one visit, one set of cameras. But unlike the backpack, the other items aren't exclusive. You can find a dark jacket or a ski mask in dozens of different stores. So, while the Walmart link for the clothing is just a theory, the logic behind it is powerful. The most damning clue wasn't what the killer did, but where he shopped. If investigators can pinpoint the brands, they can trace the purchase. And then, a single transaction for an Ozark Trail pack, a ski mask, and specific black gloves would instantly make that buyer the prime suspect. But here's the twist. There's another item, missed by most, that could crack this wide open: the holster. He's wearing a gun holster, identified as a model sold at some Walmarts for about $10. It's a strategy brand, Large frame revolver hip holster, made to be water resistant. It's built for a right-handed shooter with a 4 to 6.5-inch barrel revolver. Yet the weapon he's holding appears to be a Walther semi-automatic or something similar. That's a bizarre mismatch. A revolver holster for a semi-auto pistol is a rookie mistake. But it's precisely the error someone might make in a hurry at Walmart, grabbing the cheapest option on the rack, ignorant of its purpose, using it out of desperation. This reveals two critical facts. First, they are dealing with an amateur. His weapon handling already screamed inexperience. The holster confirms it. This individual had a weapon and a motive, but not the skill for either. Second, and this is crucial, that $10 holster is a much rarer purchase than the backpack. If authorities can cross-reference purchases of that holster and that backpack from the same store, the list of potential buyers shrinks dramatically. It might just be a handful of people. And the FBI is already closing in from another angle. Agents are sweeping through gun shops all over the Tucson area. They're showing the doorbell video, asking if anyone knows the suspect, the gun, or that holster. One shop owner went public, stating the FBI gave him a list of 18 to 24 names with photos to check against his records. 18 to 24 names. Think about what that means. You don't bring a list that long to a gun store unless it's built on solid intelligence you already have. Purchase histories, DNA evidence, tips, or surveillance. Those names came from somewhere. The gun store visits are just meant to connect another dot. The sheriff claims they haven't zeroed in on any specific group, but the gun store owner's story suggests otherwise. They have a list. They are vetting it. And that retail paper trail is a primary source for building that list. Now, there's a technical aspect of the video we have to address, as it changes the entire analysis. The camera was filming in infrared mode, which is standard for Nest cameras in the dark. And infrared light distorts how certain materials appear. Dark items can look bright. The suspect's ski mask looks much lighter in the footage than it is in reality. Investigators believe the mask is actually black. The varied shades are just infrared light reflecting differently off the fabric, not multiple colors. The same principle applies to the holster. What seems like a light or multi-toned holster is likely a single dark color, warped by the infrared. This is critical because the public is trying to ID the gear based on the distorted video. And because of that, many of those identifications are flawed. The real investigation is based on a completely different visual understanding. They're using the physics of infrared imaging to reverse engineer the appearance of each item. That's a level of forensic science the public simply cannot replicate. And there's one final detail from the footage almost no one is talking about. The suspect might be wearing a ring. The sheriff mentioned in an interview that it appears there's a ring under the glove. The forensics team is now working to confirm if that's true. If it is, the case shifts entirely. A ring is incredibly difficult to hide. You can change your clothes, even shave your head. You can disappear. But some things you can't erase. A ring, worn every day, becomes a part of you. Your coworkers see it. The cashier where you get your morning coffee notices. It gets frozen in photographs and captured on video. And it leaves a deep impression in the memory of anyone who's ever shaken your hand. That distinct ring from the footage gives investigators a solid piece of evidence, not just a vague height and build to show to tipsters. A specific piece of jewelry that someone out there has definitely seen before. Now, for anyone doubting this retail trail approach, questioning if chasing receipts can actually pinpoint a suspect, there's no need to speculate. The FBI proved it works less than 2 months ago. On December 4, 2025, the FBI arrested Brian Cole Jr. for placing pipe bombs outside the RNC and DNC headquarters in D.C. For nearly 5 years, that case was cold. After 39,000 video files were reviewed, more than 1,000 interviews were done, and over 600 tips came in. All of it led to nothing. What broke the case wide open were purchase records. The FBI subpoenaed retailers, hunting for transactions matching the bomb parts. Galvanized pipes, end caps, 9-volt batteries, kitchen timers, and electrical wire. They analyzed 233,000 purchases of just one type of end cap. They subpoenaed shoe stores, having ID'd the suspect's sneakers from footage. Then, they cross-referenced all of it, purchase records against cell pings, against license plate readers, and against physical descriptions. And in the middle of that storm of data, a single name surfaced: Brian Cole Jr. He'd purchased the components from big box stores, including Home Depot and Walmart. His phone was near the scene. His car was caught on a plate reader. This data had been sitting in FBI servers for years. The pieces just hadn't been connected. The parallels to the Guthrie case are impossible to miss. A suspect caught on camera. Identifiable products that can be traced to specific stores, demanding purchase records and layering them with other evidence. It's the same playbook. The FBI knows it works because they just used it. The only difference here is the clock. Connecting the dots in the Cole case took 5 years. In the Guthrie case, that evidence is coming in right now. The question is, can they move fast enough? But now we have to get into the DNA, because this is far more complicated than the news is letting on. There are at least 2 separate unknown DNA profiles in this investigation, and they are not a match. The first came from a glove found about 2 meters from Nancy Guthrie's home, lying in a field by the road. The FBI confirmed the glove is a visual match to the one worn by the suspect in the doorbell video. Testing uncovered the DNA of an unknown male. That profile went into CODIS, the FBI's national database with over 26 million profiles. No match. The second set of DNA was collected from inside Nancy Guthrie's property. It isn't Nancy's, and it doesn't belong to anyone in her immediate circle. And here's the critical part. It does not match the DNA from the glove. 2 locations, 2 unknown men, no match to each other, no hits in the system. This presents several disturbing theories, none of them simple. The glove might not even belong to the suspect. 16 gloves were collected during the search, and it turns out most belong to the search teams. The FBI has been clear that the link between that glove and the footage is based only on what it looks like, not a definite forensic connection, and the DNA at the property could be from someone who has nothing to do with the crime. A contractor, a delivery person, a visitor from months ago. Our homes are libraries of stray DNA. Or, there was more than one person there. The tipster who called TMZ used a very specific phrase: the main individual. That particular wording implies others were involved. If a second person was on the scene, then 2 different DNA profiles at 2 different locations suddenly starts to make a terrifying amount of sense. The sheriff has suggested the DNA from the property could be far more important than the DNA on the glove. He suspects they may already have the killer's DNA from inside the home, but it has to be carefully isolated and tested again before they can be sure. The DNA from the glove is now being sent for investigative genetic genealogy. This is the exact technique that led police to Brian Kohberger in the Idaho College murders. It works by uploading a profile to public genealogy websites, looking for family members to build a family tree backward to one person. But there's a huge limitation here that could bring this entire process to a grinding halt. The 3 biggest players in consumer DNA, 23andMe, MyHeritage, and Ancestry DNA. 50 million people have given them their DNA, but all 3 giants refuse to let police see their records. This leaves detectives with smaller, opt-in databases like GED Match, Family Tree DNA, and DNA Justice, which hold the profiles of less than 2 million people combined. A leading genetic genealogist publicly stated that the Guthries should be begging those companies for an exception, but whether they'll listen is anyone's guess. As the retail and DNA hunts press on, a completely different kind of search is underway to find Nancy Guthrie herself. On February 3rd, Parsons Corporation deployed its Bluefly technology, a specialized Bluetooth and Wi-Fi sensor built for search and rescue. Weighing under a pound, it can detect a signal from over 200 yards away. It was first mounted on a sheriff's helicopter before being used on the ground by vehicles and search teams. The target: a signal from Nancy's pacemaker, which emits a low-energy Bluetooth beacon. These are short-range pings designed to connect with a smartphone for health monitoring. Her pacemaker app may have disconnected at 2:28 a.m., but that doesn't mean the device itself went silent. Pacemakers run independently. If Nancy is in range and it's still active, Bluefly could theoretically find its signal. The challenge is the Tucson desert is flooded with Bluetooth noise from smart home devices to earbuds and AirTags. Bluefly picks up every single one of those signals. Investigators must sift through this digital static, eliminating every false positive until they isolate Nancy's signal or clear the area. A cybersecurity expert has now built a new drone-mounted detector specifically for this case. The FBI has the prototype and could deploy it any day now. The expert calls the pacemaker the most impartial witness. Its data is pure, free of human interpretation. If they can access that data, it could show them not only where Nancy is, but exactly what happened after the camera went black. On February 15th, a leak from inside the investigation completely changed the public story. Authorities now believe this was a burglary that spiraled out of control. Multiple independent experts who analyzed the doorbell camera footage came to the same conclusion. The erratic behavior, the mismatched equipment, the sheer lack of a coherent plan, none of it screamed premeditated kidnapping. If a thief broke in and was surprised to find her there, the situation would have exploded in seconds. An armed burglar facing a witness has two options: flee and risk being identified, or eliminate the witness. If this new theory holds, it explains nearly everything that felt wrong about the kidnapping story. The ransom notes might be fakes, sent by an opportunist trying to profit from the family's agony. The medication left on the counter finally makes sense. A burglar, panicked and improvising, would never think to grab a victim's heart medication. A hostage was never part of his plan. The amateurish moves on the camera also click into place. A professional kidnapper wouldn't buy gear at Walmart or linger at the scene for 41 minutes. But an amateur, caught in a situation he never imagined, might do just that. Then the source revealed something else. Investigators widely believe Nancy could still be alive. That changes everything. If this is a rescue mission, not just a murder investigation, then every single hour is critical. Every clue gains a new urgency. The retail trail, the DNA, and the pacemaker search become efforts to save a life. On February 17th, the sheriff formally cleared the entire Guthrie family. Every sibling, every spouse, all of them. This was no empty gesture. To publicly clear family members in a live investigation is a massive step. It means detectives have confirmed the evidence, the alibis, and the phone data, and are certain that none of them were involved. For a sheriff who had said everyone was a suspect, removing the family completely signaled a tectonic shift. The evidence was now pointing them down a different path, away from the vicious online theories that had targeted the family, from the armchair detectives who condemned innocent people based on nothing more than a hunch. The sheriff publicly dismissed the accusations as cruel fabrications. But what if that official story was just the beginning? 400 investigators are chasing 50,000 tips, while DNA samples inch closer to a name. They have purchase histories from one of the planet's biggest retailers and security footage from gun stores. Drones are scanning the Arizona desert for a pacemaker's signal, and genealogy databases are being scoured for a man who thought a mask made him a ghost. The FBI is holding his backpack, a Walmart exclusive, and they have the complete sales record. There's a $10 holster, so unique it dramatically narrows the search. And there's clothing, likely bought from the same store. On the very same day, DNA from two different spots, both from unknown men, is now being run against every database that exists. A faint outline of what could be a ring is visible right through his glove. An inside source even told reporters Nancy Guthrie might still be alive. The man who took her believed he was invisible. He hid his face, wore gloves, and destroyed the camera, but he never considered the receipt. He never imagined his backpack was sold by a single national chain. He never thought about a holster that didn't even fit his weapon. He never considered the faint impression of a ring beneath his glove. He never thought about the DNA he left on a road just 2 meters away. Or what happens when Walmart and the FBI bring 400 agents and 50,000 leads to bear on one single transaction. Someone went into a store. They bought a backpack, maybe a holster, maybe a mask and gloves, and they paid for it. Deep inside Walmart's servers, a record of that purchase is waiting. It's only a matter of time. If you bought an Ozark Trail hiker pack at a Walmart near Tucson this past December or January, or if you remember someone who did, the investigators are waiting for your call. The FBI is at 1-800-CALL-FBI. The Pima County Sheriff is at 520-351-4900. There is a $100,000 reward. Nancy Guthrie has been gone for 18 days. Her life depends on her pacemaker and her medicine. As we speak, 400 people are searching the Arizona desert to bring her home. This is far from over. This is the second installment of a developing story. If you missed part 1, the link is below. Subscribe and hit the bell. The moment this case breaks, you'll see the next video drop. In the chilling silence of the Arizona desert, a battle between shadows and science is unfolding. The disappearance of Nancy Guthrie is a haunting reminder that while a criminal may wear a mask to hide from the world, they can never truly hide from the digital and biological footprints they leave behind. This case teaches us a profound lesson about the power of accountability in a connected age. A simple $10 holster or a common Ozark Trail backpack items bought in a moment of desperate improvisation are no longer just retail goods. They are silent witnesses. They prove that every transaction leaves a trail, and every amateur mistake becomes a beacon for justice. Beyond the forensics, there is a deeper, more emotional truth. Nancy's heartbeat is still fighting. The search for her pacemaker's signal is a testament to human ingenuity used for the ultimate act of love saving a life. It reminds us that no one is truly invisible, and no victim is ever forgotten as long as there are those willing to sift through the digital static to find them. Let this be a warning to those in the shadows and a comfort to the innocent. In the modern world, justice is a paper trail that never ends.